Most people know how to do their job, but when someone asks them to explain it in English, they freeze, their mouth opens, nothing comes out. And that moment, that silence, costs them confidence in meetings, in interviews, in conversations with international colleagues. Today, that stops, because by the end of this lesson, you are going to be able to describe exactly what you do at work in clear, natural, confident English. No complicated grammar, no long memorized speeches, just real phrases that real people use every day. Stay with us. This is the lesson you actually needed. Leo, how was your morning? Honestly, a little slow. I drank my first coffee, stared at my emails for 10 minutes, drank my second coffee, and then finally started working. That is probably the most honest description of a workday I have ever heard. Most people write in their CVs that they are highly motivated self-starters. And then in real life, they sit there waiting for caffeine to kick in before they can open a single document. Exactly. And today we are talking about how to describe what happens after the caffeine finally works. What you actually do, your responsibilities, your daily tasks, your role in English. This matters more than people think. When someone asks you, "What do you do at work?" that question sounds simple. But for many English learners, it is surprisingly difficult. You know your job perfectly. You do it every day. You are probably good at it. But explaining it in another language is a completely different skill. And if you cannot explain it well, people underestimate you. They think you are less capable than you actually are. That is not fair, but it is reality. So let us fix it today. Let us start from the very beginning. The most basic question anyone can ask you about your job is, what do you do? Now, the worst thing you can do is panic and say something like, I do many things, or I work in office. Those answers are not wrong exactly, but they are weak. They do not tell the other person anything useful. They make you sound unsure. And in a professional conversation, sounding unsure is a disadvantage. So here is the structure that works every single time. You say your job title first. Then you describe your main tasks. That is it. 2 steps. For example, you could say, I am a teacher, I prepare lessons, teach students, and check homework. Or you could say, I work in customer service, I answer customer questions, solve problems, and help people with orders. Or maybe, I am an administrative assistant. I manage schedules, prepare documents, and support my team. Do you see the pattern? Job title, then tasks. Simple verbs, short sentences, clean and clear. That is what professional English actually sounds like. Not complicated, not long, just clear. Now, the first phrase every English learner needs for talking about work is, I am responsible for. This phrase is powerful because it sounds professional and it is very easy to use. I am responsible for answering emails. I am responsible for the weekly report. I am responsible for client communication. Responsible for means this is my job to handle. This is my duty. If it does not get done, it is on me. Here is an important grammar note, because many learners make this mistake. You say, I am responsible for plus a noun or a verb ending in eng. You do not say, I am responsible to prepare reports. You say, I am responsible for preparing reports. Or you say, I am responsible for the reports. Small change, big difference. Now, another phrase that sounds even stronger is I am in charge of. This one means you lead something. You control it. You make decisions about it. For example, I am in charge of the team's schedule. That means you create the schedule, you manage it, and if something goes wrong with it, you handle it. I am in charge of training new staff means you run the training. You design it, it is yours. In charge of sounds slightly more senior than responsible for, but both are excellent and both work in interviews. Let us talk about the word handle, because this word alone will save you in so many conversations. Handle means to deal with something or take care of something. I handle customer complaints. I handle invoices. I handle scheduling conflicts. The beautiful thing about handle is that you can use it with almost anything. And it always sounds active, professional, and confident. I handle it. That is someone who gets things done. Now, what if you want to describe your daily routine? What if someone asks, what does a normal day look like for you? This is a common question in interviews, in casual workplace conversations, and in networking situations. And the best way to answer it is with time order. You describe what you do in sequence: morning, midday, afternoon. For example, imagine someone works in marketing. They might say, I usually start my day by checking emails and reviewing my task list. After that, I work on content or prepare reports. In the afternoon, I often attend meetings or follow up on pending projects. That is a complete picture. It is easy to understand. It sounds natural. And it took about 3 sentences. Notice the phrase, I start my day by. That is followed by a verb ending in ing. I start my day by checking emails. I start my day by reviewing my schedule. I start my day by making coffee and silently promising myself I will be more organized today. Any of those work. Also notice the word reviewing. That is a slightly more professional way of saying looking at. Review means to look at something carefully and consider it. I review the schedule. I review the numbers. I review my task list. Whenever you want to sound a little more polished, swap looking at for reviewing. Here is another phrase to add detail and time. Every day, I. Once a week, I. At the end of the month, I. These small-time phrases make your English sound more complete. Instead of just saying, I write reports, you can say once a week, I write a report and send it to my manager. That version is more specific. It tells the listener more, and it sounds much more confident. Now, let us talk about different types of jobs because not everyone does the same kind of work. Some people work with other people, some work with numbers, some work with documents, and some work with physical products. The vocabulary you use depends on what kind of work you do. If you work with people, you might say I talk to customers, I support clients, I help team members, or I lead meetings. Those are all very common and very natural. If you work with numbers, you might say I prepare budgets, I check sales data, I track expenses, or I analyze results. The word analyze means to study something carefully to understand it. I analyze customer feedback. I analyze the numbers. It sounds professional, but it is actually simple to use. If you work with documents, you say, I prepare reports, I update records, I organize files, or I review contracts. The word update here means to add new information and make something current. Current means up to date, not old. If I update a file, I make it accurate for today. If you work with products, or in a warehouse, or in a physical role, you might say I check deliveries, I organize products, I prepare orders, or I maintain the storage area. And if you are a manager or a team leader, then you use words like I manage, I lead, I assign tasks, I coordinate, and I support my team. The word assign means to give work to someone. My manager assigns tasks every Monday. I assign projects based on each person's strengths. Clear task assignment is one of the most important parts of managing a team well. Let us spend a moment on the word coordinate because it comes up a lot in professional conversations and many learners are not sure exactly what it means. Coordinate means to organize people or tasks so that everything works together smoothly. I coordinate meetings between the sales team and the design team. She coordinates project timelines. We coordinate with other departments to make sure nothing is missed. The pattern is usually coordinate with someone or coordinate something. Keep that in mind. Now, here is a phrase that many learners forget about, but that sounds incredibly natural in English. A big part of my job is, for example, a big part of my job is talking to suppliers, or a big part of my job is solving customer problems, or a big part of my job is making sure the reports are accurate before they go to management. This phrase is great because it shows what you actually spend your time on, not just your official title. Another similar phrase is, I spend a lot of time on. I spend a lot of time on emails. I spend a lot of time on client calls. I spend a lot of time on paperwork. Speaking of paperwork, that word means all the documents and forms you need to complete for work. It does not always mean physical paper anymore. It can also mean digital forms, spreadsheets, reports, anything administrative that needs to be filled out or processed. And most people will immediately understand what you mean when you say, I do not love paperwork, but it is part of the job. Let us now build a really complete, natural-sounding answer for a job interview. Imagine someone says to you, can you tell me about your current responsibilities? Here is what a strong answer sounds like. I am an administrative assistant. My main responsibilities include managing schedules, preparing documents, and supporting the team. Every day I start by checking emails and answering any urgent messages. I also update records, organize files, and coordinate with other departments. Once a week, I attend a team meeting and give updates on my tasks. I am in charge of the office calendar and I handle travel arrangements for senior staff. I work closely with the finance team at the end of each month to make sure all paperwork is complete. That answer is maybe 30 seconds long, but it covers your title, your main tasks, your daily routine, your frequency, your teamwork, and your leadership responsibility. It is structured, clear, and professional, and every single phrase in it is something you can learn and reuse for your own job. Let us talk about teamwork for a moment, because most jobs involve working with other people. When you want to describe teamwork in English, the best phrase is, I work closely with. I work closely with the sales team, I work closely with my manager, I work closely with the design department on new campaigns. Work closely with means you cooperate often and communicate regularly. It shows collaboration without making you sound like you do everything alone. You can also say, I collaborate with, which means essentially the same thing. I collaborate with designers to produce content. I collaborate with the marketing and sales teams on our monthly targets. Another useful teamwork phrase is I share updates with. I share updates with my team every Friday. I share updates with the client at the end of each project phase. And then there is I report to, which means you give regular updates to someone above you in the company. I report to the sales director. I report to my manager weekly. It also tells people where you sit in the organizational structure. Now let us talk about something many learners forget, which is how to describe not just what you do, but how often you do it and how demanding it is. Because a job is not just a list of tasks. It has a rhythm. Some days are heavy, some are lighter. Some tasks happen every day and some happen once a month. If you want to describe your workload, you can say my workload is quite heavy this month. My workload changes depending on the season. Some days are more demanding than others. The word demanding means something requires a lot of effort and attention. A demanding role is a challenging one. A demanding client is one who needs a lot of your time and energy. It is a strong and honest word. You can also say it depends on the day, or my tasks change from day to day. Some days I focus more on reports. Other days I spend most of my time in meetings. This kind of answer sounds real and honest and relatable, because no job is the same every single day. Here is another important phrase for situations where you want to mention extra responsibilities on top of your normal ones. In addition to my regular tasks, I also help train new employees. In addition to my daily work, I sometimes assist with event planning. In addition to managing schedules, I also handle client communication. This phrase shows that you carry more responsibility than your basic job description suggests. It sounds good in interviews. Now let us talk about a few more useful verbs and phrases that come up constantly in work conversations. Follow up. This means to check again or continue communication about something after an initial conversation or action. I follow up on customer requests. I follow up with the team after meetings. I will follow up with you tomorrow about that. The pattern is follow up on for tasks and follow up with for people. Track. This means to monitor something over time. I track project deadlines. I track expenses. I track customer feedback. It shows that you pay attention and stay organized. Handle. We already mentioned this one, but it is worth repeating because it is so useful. Handle works with almost anything. I handle complaints, I handle invoices, I handle scheduling. It is one of the most flexible words in professional English. Review. To look at something carefully. I review documents before they are sent. I review reports every Monday. I review my progress at the end of the week. Support. This one is important because many jobs involve helping other people do their jobs better. I support the team with daily tasks. I support new employees during their first weeks. I support management with administrative work. Support sounds cooperative and helpful and professional all at once. Now, here is something that makes your answer to any job question so much stronger. Instead of just listing tasks, add a small detail about why you do something or how it helps. For example, instead of saying I update records every day, say I update records every day to make sure the team always has accurate information. Instead of saying I follow up on client emails, say I follow up on client emails to make sure nothing gets missed. Those extra few words make you sound thoughtful. They show that you understand the purpose of your work, not just the mechanics. And that is the kind of answer that impresses people in interviews. Let us also address something that learners often wonder about, which is how to describe your job when your tasks change a lot, because some jobs are very consistent and some are very different from day to day. If your job is flexible and varied, you can say something like every day is a little different, but generally I focus on communication, problem solving, and keeping projects organized. Or you can say, the core of my job is managing information and making sure the right people have what they need at the right time. These kinds of answers show that you can think about your job at a higher level, not just list tasks. And speaking of problem solving, that is an area many jobs involve, but that learners sometimes forget to mention. If problem solving is part of your role, say it. I solve customer issues, I deal with problems quickly and find solutions, I help fix technical errors, I work through challenges when projects do not go as planned. Problem solving is a skill people respect, and talking about it confidently raises your profile. One final thing before we go through the vocabulary review. When you are describing your job, do not just sound efficient, sound human. Add one thing you genuinely enjoy. One part of your job you find interesting or meaningful. For example, the part of my job I enjoy most is helping new employees settle in. Or one thing I really like about my role is that every client situation is different. Or I find it satisfying when I manage to solve a complicated scheduling issue without anyone noticing there was ever a problem. That kind of personal detail makes you memorable. It makes you sound engaged and motivated. And in a job interview especially, that matters enormously. Now, let us go through the key vocabulary one more time so everything is locked in. Responsible for means something is your duty. I am responsible for preparing the monthly report. That report is my job to complete. Nobody else. Me. In charge of means you lead or control something. I am in charge of the training program. I make the decisions about how it runs. Handle means deal with or take care of something. I handle customer complaints. I handle invoices. It is flexible and it sounds active. Coordinate means to organize people or tasks so they work together smoothly. I coordinate meetings between teams. I coordinate project schedules. Update means to add new information and make something current. I update the database every morning. I give updates to my manager on Fridays. Update works as both a verb and a noun. Follow up means to check again or continue communication. I follow up on requests. I follow up with clients. On for tasks, with for people. Assign means to give work or responsibility to someone. My manager assigns tasks. I assign projects to team members. Workload means the amount of work you have. My workload is heavy this week. My workload is lighter on Fridays. Paperwork means documents, forms, and administrative writing tasks. Digital or physical, I help with paperwork. I spend a lot of time on paperwork. Work closely with means to cooperate regularly and frequently. I work closely with the finance team. I work closely with my manager on this project. Demanding means requiring a lot of effort and attention. Customer service can be demanding. Managing multiple projects at once is demanding. Analyze means to study something carefully in order to understand it. I analyze data. I analyze customer feedback. I analyze results at the end of each quarter. Report to means to give regular updates to someone above you or to indicate who your manager is. I report to the director of sales. I report to my manager weekly. Review means to look at something carefully and consider it. I review documents. I review the schedule every morning. I review our progress at the end of the month. Now you have the structure, you have the phrases, and you have the vocabulary. So the only thing left to do is practice. Start with your own job. Think about your title. Think about your 3 or 4 main responsibilities. Think about what you do every day, what you do once a week, and what you do at the end of the month. Think about who you work with and what you enjoy, and then put it into sentences using the phrases we covered today. Here is the formula one more time. Your job title, your main responsibilities, how often you do them, who you work with, one extra responsibility or skill, and if you can, one thing you enjoy or find meaningful. Put those 6 things together and you will have an answer that sounds natural, confident, and professional every time someone asks you about your job in English. The goal is not perfect English. The goal is clear English. Clear is always better than complicated. And with the phrases you learned today, you can be very clear. We want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what is one main responsibility in your job and how often do you do it? Write it out. Practice it. You can use the structure I work as, my job includes every day I or once a week I. Whatever fits your situation, writing it out is practice. And practice is how confidence grows. Thank you so much for being here today. If this lesson helped you, please like it and subscribe so you never miss a new one. You are working hard and it shows. Keep going. See you in the next lesson.